Right, let's start with the breaking news story now. Dramatic scenes coming in from the High Court in Pretoria. The judge presiding over the International Pentecostal Holiness Church has postponed the trial. She told the court she could not continue as she was receiving death threats. Judge Portia Pahlani appeared in court with 4 bodyguards around her. Judgment was expected in a recusal application by the Modise brothers. 3 brothers are battling to take over the church, which used to be led by their father. The church boasts a 3 million strong membership and an estate valued at about 400 million rand. Let's go to our senior reporter Silindelo Masikane now, who's covering this case and is in court for us. Slee, very bizarre, especially thinking of the fact that this is not what you expect from a church.
Bizarre and quite terrifying, actually, because not only do we understand is the judge receiving death threats, but some legal representatives from some of the council as well. So what we were expecting, like you said, was a judgment in a recusal application of sorts based on a technicality. We had heard arguments over the past couple of days, and we know, of course, that this trial that's meant to actually put an end to this leadership battle between the 3 brothers was meant to commence about 2 weeks ago, around the 13th of February. But it's been, embroiled with many delays. And now here is another one where the judge says that investigations are underway in terms of the threats against her. When she had allowed media to be able to film inside court and to take the trial proceedings live, she did request prior, in fact, that her face was not shown on television. And of course, as the media, we adhered to that request, but it seems that the threats against her life are continuing and investigations are underway. She arrived in court today with at least 4 bodyguards, 2 of which were surrounding her inside court and some which were adjacent to the courtroom as well. Let's just take a listen to Judge Portia Pahlani as she was telling counsel as well as those in the gallery that unfortunately judgment would have to be delayed.
Unfortunately, won't proceed, and the reason being that on a previous occasion I indicated that I have received threats. I've been receiving phone calls, and there are investigations going on. So the threats were very specific, and for that reason I've also been informed and advised that there is progress. So there's a possibility that we might be finalizing this matter by next week. When I say finalizing, I'm talking about the proceedings that we were dealing with previously, that they may be finalized next week. And I have received promise that it should be before the end of next week. So for that reason, I have to just allow the investigations to go on, and they have been escalated to be done speedily. So, as I said, there's progress, and as a result, we cannot proceed. The parties have been informed. There is the councils before court have been informed, and everybody will be informed in due course as to when exactly next week are we supposed to be proceeding. So I cannot tell you that we should be coming back on a Monday or on Tuesday. As I said, the parties will be informed. I don't know about the other interested parties as to how they will be informed, but I want to believe that something will happen, or they will be notified somehow.
And court still packed to the rafters, I saw there, Slee. But before we talk about the crowd that usually gathers inside and outside court, just remind us what the battle is really about between the Modise brothers.
Essentially, it's a battle of inheritance, and it's a battle to lead the IPHC church. We know that Clayton Modise, who's the father of the 3 sons, passed away around 2016. So this trial to basically show who is supposed to be the true leader of the church has been a 7-year-long battle, Masejo, and the trial which was going to end it all, which was going to, ensure that everyone knows who is supposed to be the leader of the church, was supposed to start on the 13th of February. We now have the IPHC Church, or also known as the Modise Church, now divided into three factions between the three brothers. We have the Jerusalem faction, we've got the Zirbekom, as well as another that is led by Tshepiso Modise. And outside, essentially, in fact, I see a police nyala to my left. Before the trial would commence, we did receive communication that the Jerusalem faction of the church would be descending onto the court precinct. In fact, there's heightened security outside the North Gauteng High Court. There's not just one police nyala, there's two, as well as a police van, two police vans, two police nyalas. This just shows you how serious the security risk is, in particular with regards to this case. So we were going to start with the trial about 2.5 weeks ago. This entire precinct was filled with at least 10,000 members of the Jerusalem faction, which is led by Michael Sandlana. We understand that he has what seems to be the biggest amount of followers in terms of the congregants. Since then, we've just seen a number of delays, and in particular, these appeal applications with regards to the judge presiding over the matter. I have requested to speak to the representatives of Frederick as well as Tshepiso Modise, but at this point, I do have a representative. I'm going to ask Joel to just walk with me. I do have a representative of the Jerusalem IPHC, Mr. Vusindala. Thank you so much for your time, sir. A very, very interesting, or should I say concerning, turn of events when it comes to what is happening inside court. As the IPHC in Jerusalem, just tell us exactly your thoughts with regards to what's happening inside court.
Thank you, Silindelo. As the International Pentecost Holiness Church, I want to say, much as the reference is Jerusalem, but we are the International Pentecost Holiness Church. As the church, we are really devastated. We are disappointed with what has happened in court today. It's not good to see the judge, the presiding judge, being surrounded by bodyguards. That is really very sad. We condemn such an act. We will not allow. We have said it before because we sensed that there were aspersions cast against the judiciary. We've said that in our statements in the previous 2 weeks or so, including our media briefing. We condemn such an act. We are disappointed and disappointed. So therefore, what we are saying, we cannot point a fingers in particular to the threats, but we've always said previously that there are delaying tactics. This trial, when started, there were some delaying tactics that were at play. That's in accordance with what we observed at the time. So we can, however, not associate these threats to those delaying tactics, but we've always maintained that there are those that do not want this trial to go ahead.
Why is it that the brothers seemingly can't resolve this matter outside of court?
Look, that is the matter that I cannot express myself, because it's something that was going to be, or it is going to be ventilated in court, because the matter it's sub judice. So I think it's the matter that when the presiding judge asks or try to resolve the matter through that kind of question, then we can address that question at that particular point in time.
Lastly, Mr. Ndala, what do you say to concerns that it seems the IPHC Church has some sort of violence? This is not the first time we're seeing issues around security. There was an issue around the Zirbekom branch of the IPHC where people were shot, people were killed, people were set alight.
Look, like we've said before, we condemn such violence, right? So those kind of acts, when they happen, there are those who are in defense of those acts, and obviously violence will happen. And if you recall, at that time, CRL, the Commission for Religious and Linguistic Organization, came to mediate that. Since then, there has not been any violence to that effect. So we resolved that we need to cease the violence and we need to cease the conflict. Hence, the resolution to say whoever congregates, they should congregate where they are gathered at the moment. So since then, we resolved that we'll follow the judicial process, that this matter gets resolved. And from my side also is to say we are with the presiding judge. We are concerned with her safety, and it is our concern as well that the safety of the presiding judge is preserved.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
All right, that is Mr. Vusindala, a representative from the IPHC, of course, the faction that supports Michael Sandlana. We understand that investigations into the threats against the judge are underway. Court proceedings may resume next week, but that is all dependent on whether the investigations would have been completed by then.